Good, beautiful morning to everyone out there. It is I, your Planetary Defense Commander, Star-Lord Nuthor 7, and a Q-Dog. And I was just taking a look at the sun, as I like to do on a daily basis. And by using the same camera I usually use, I can notice the different changes and the subtle effects the sun has on the camera. So when the sun is changing, how the camera picks it up changes as well. And I've noticed today that the blue ring and the purple ring around the sun that we've seen many times over the last 2 or 3 years is back. It's not always there. Sometimes you get a yellow sun, sometimes you get a white sun. Sometimes you get kind of a green tinged ring around the sun. And our lens flare with the bow shock, a purple bow shock, is back. Hooray for everyone. Nature is gorgeous. Which brings me to another point that I wanted to make. The birds, which you can hear when singing in the distance, are fantastic. Birds are one of the coolest things on the whole planet, man. And I was thinking about it last night. You know, two of my favorite animals are dogs and birds. And neither one of them really has an attack mode. Horses can just run. Like if you want to get hurt by a horse, you literally got to be a dumbass and stand directly behind its hind legs and then make sudden movements or say dipshitty stuff. Other than that, a horse really can't hurt you unless you let it run you over. But, you know, I don't know. I guess don't stand in front of a downhill horse if you've never been around horses before. And birds don't really have an attack feature either. And they are two of the most calm, beautiful creatures that work well in packs. I mean, I see birds flying in twos all the time, and I definitely imagine they're in love. Same thing with horses. We had two of our horses, they always stuck together. J-Dub and Katara, that wherever they went, they were always together. And they'd always like touch each other by their like bellies or sides or. And so when there are people out there who doubt in love, ask yourself, do you have a dog? Does your dog love you? Do you have a cat? Does your cat love you? You know, animals clearly exude love and appreciation for other creatures that treat them well. But I'm biased. I've treated animals well my whole life, and animals have treated me well a whole lot. Well, technically, everything is biblical. But as I've discussed many times, is that what you have is you have the word, the ancient word that was written thousands of years ago, and you have something called the living word. Whereas the Spirit of God has walked on earth before and has definitely traveled through the hearts of men and women and given them the power to speak with wisdom, that still exists today. And so I look at it as like we are living in the newest testament. There are things that we do not know, and there are many surprises that await us. But definitely, these days feel Book of Revelation, and almost any religion that discusses what would happen in the future when all things combined, the heavens, Middle Earth, the underworld, technology. The universe always finds a way. God always finds a way. Love always finds a way. The fact that we've come this far, and the only thing that's stopping us is us working together. I think we're getting there, though, man. I really do. I know that the social media and the internet likes to pump a lot of negativity into our brains and say that a lot of things are impossible and give the biggest and loudest megaphones to the nihilists who say we can't do great things together. But I think that decade is ending. And as big arguments go, people will say that this is not the end of the decade. But man, I'm talking about the double decade that started at Y2K. You know what I'm saying? We are reaching at least an end of a segment of a chapter of the Mayan Baktun or the 1999 Baktun. Remember, even Nostradamus pointed out in 1999 That's pretty cool in my book. So I just wanted to do some real life solar science as our sun is waking up into solar cycle 25. 2 plus 5 equals 7. And there are 7 colors, there are 7 musical notes. 7 is a magic number I consider good. You cannot take 7 from me. So if I do ever have children, I'd like to name my first 2 sons 7 and Shield. Although I imagine the lady that would have my babies would have something to say about that. I'm in no rush to have babies, man. I've been sitting in a foxhole for gosh dang how long. One day, hopefully, I can get out, see the world, and have some fun. And so, I just wanted to, there, the lines, how many lines are we counting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And notice how when I move the camera, the lines don't really move, man. You know? And a lot of times when I post sun videos, especially ones that have clouds, I get people in my comments who will say, "Oh, dude, there's geoengineering. They're poisoning our brain." I want to tell you again that it's called solar radiation management, and that the barium and some of the aluminum that they get in the chemical compounds when they test the air, that's coming from the sun. If you do the research, the sun is like a giant elemental furnace that takes all the elements and materials that come in it from comets, asteroids, dead space birds bones, dead dinosaur space bones, and then it mixes it all together in its little magical inside heart and then puts it back out into the world. I know science says that planets and stars are formed when a giant cloud of gas and dust collapses upon itself. But that just seems dumb, man. You ever seen a giant cloud of gas and dust collapse upon itself and create anything? Ever? No. And so, and even if they were trying to poison you, why would they spray the sky when it affects them and their children just as well? They could put it in your Doritos, they could put it in your Coke, they could just spray down on the ground with those trucks that go around and spray pesticides, supposedly like 4 in the morning. And you're like, dude, does that even work? So, we like to evolve past things. And if you'll notice, a lot of times when they spray the sun, they do it at specific points and sometimes near sundown, always. And it's always there. And though the truth community likes to tell you guys we are in the coldest winter ever and that the sun is not active and the sun is flatlined forever. And so we're just going to freeze. That's not true, man. And so the sun is putting out a lot of energy, whether it be cosmic rays, radiation, light. And so I'm pretty sure they're trying to manage it, because if you look at it honestly, and I'm not talking about carbon tax bullshit. Yes, cold and heat records are being broken across the board, but heat records are really winning out. That's just, and I'm in Texas on December 30th, and it is like a beautiful, beautiful spring day. And it's been like a beautiful, beautiful spring day for a week. So this is definitely not the coldest winter I've ever experienced. And I know Florida's been seeing a lot of heat and sunshine, but I'm sticking with my original Thor News theory that I've gone with the whole 7 years, that the sun is like both science and magic, that no one fully understands the sun. No group has mastered it all and figured it out. And so it's best with any major mystery to keep an open mind and learn and observe. The idea of romantic love calming me down, making me cooler, is almost a scary thought. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been sleeping under a dream catcher in my imagination every night lately this week. That's been nice since my birthday, really. Where's this location we are in? Well, thank you very much, Jamie. I'm in Houston, Texas. And so, on days where, I would say we get the purple Bowshock lens flare almost maybe 30% of the time. Same with the blue ring. But it's these lines that don't move. Those, I videotape or take pictures of the sun with this same phone camera at least once every 3 days. And so those straight lines out of it, those are very interesting. And the sun and I have this cool game because I really do believe the sun listens and hears and loves us all. It's like a living creature. And so the sun will make cool shapes on my wall with light through the blinds. And the blinds never move. So how the sun can create different shapes on my wall that are basically saying, hey, dude, get out of your apartment and come get some of my love, my light, and my vitamin D. And here's a hilarious story that won't reflect well on me, but I don't know, like 4 or 5 months ago when I was like, okay, I'm getting in shape. The first day I was like, I took my shirt off and I sat on my porch for like a half hour, rotating my body to make sure that all my body would get some sunlight because sun has great healing properties, although it can also burn you. And the very next day, the lease manager was like, yeah, we had a complaint from somebody driving by. Can you please not take your shirt off and stand on your patio anymore? And I was like, my feelings are hurt. What about freedom? If you don't let me have my shirt off on the porch, Osama bin Laden wins. All right. So I love y'all. And hopefully everybody has a great day and we have a fantastic new year. And hopefully great new love and friendship connections are made after we've all endured and survived the last decade and especially the last 5 to 7 years since the 2012 thing, man. The world has changed since 2012 and the world has changed since 1999. And shout out to Archangel Michael. He is got to know him better in the last 3 years than ever before. And shout out to Amber Khan, Quietest Revolution. She was talking today about how Mercury, planet Mercury, and in mythology, the messenger, Mercury goes back and forth between the heaven or the heavens, Middle Earth, Midgard, and the underworld. And so, in one way or another, all three have always been working together, just like our solar system's always been working together. And so we're all just trying to find common ground on how to improve all things. And I believe that with all of my heart. And like I said, I do my best to protect and inspire the people, the planet, and the animals. And us all working together and ending all war is something I'm willing to die for. Well, I'd much rather live and have the biggest party ever on planet Earth and then build a bunch of cool stuff while comedy and rock and roll come roaring back. Oh, another hilarious thing. Billboard put out its top 10 rock and roll albums of the decade. And it was like 70% Imagine Dragons. And don't get me wrong, I love Imagine Dragons, but I'm not sure I'd say they're rock and roll, like the Beatles or even the Strokes or, a wall of guitar sound. We need more Van Halen. Hey, Billy, if you want to sit down and ever listen to the best of Van Halen, it's worth listening to. And Prince too. I know Prince though, man. Prince is rock, but he is so transcendent. Like Prince is Prince, man. Prince is what happens when you're the most talented and amazing, that your sound really combines most of them all and then just becomes its own thing. Prince was like my two favorite musicians of all time are Jimi Hendrix number 1 and then Prince number 2. And then maybe like Johnny Cash / Tom Petty. Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. I love y'all. And I will be around talking to everybody. Yeah, dude, but the 80s, 90s rock up until Kurt Cobain died was fascinating, like amazing, just out of this world. And if you'll notice, like it was in the 90s, because all the guys died in the 70s, Jimmy, Janis, Jim, and then that killed that movement. And then when rock and roll started to resurge, and I'm talking Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Iron Maiden, best metal band of all time, Scorpion, like once it resurged and grew into the mid 90s, and then they killed Kurt and Jimmy Chamberlain and Lane Staley, and then the rock and roll movement died again. And then, the Strokes, Kings of Leon, Black Keys, Interpol, it started to resurge again in the front of the 2000s. And then, like, quote unquote, Disney, American Idol just swamp, kind of crushed it. Like Muse, and there were a lot of bands that were fighting, but for whatever reason in history, the decade of 2010 to 2020 was destined to be an all woman movement. And I love women. I'm just saying, though, what we need is balance. And Evanescence was pretty badass. Like, no doubt. I know women singing in front of guitars, rock and roll guitars, is a really badass thing. Wish that would return. All right, so saying a prayer for everyone, saying thank you to everyone. I'm extremely grateful. And I never fear the sun, Although, if you stand out in the sun too long, you will get sunburned, and you do not want that to happen. So I think every human being at one point has gotten that one really, really, really bad sunburn. It's like, dude, I do not want to get that sunburned ever again. You know what I'm saying? The lessons of life. I love y'all. Y'all are great. So have a great day. Man, I don't even know what day it is because it's the end of the year. Have a great night. Please celebrate and let all your grudges go. Let forgiveness reign. I'm not asking you to be dumb, but just let go of that which does not serve you. Let go of that which you do not want in your future. Stop giving power and thought to the things that make you unhappy. So hopefully, Jubilee and forgiveness are a big part of our future. And Jubilee is, the term for debt forgiveness. And Lord knows we got a debt situation on the planet that we inherited. Okay, everybody stay cool. And I'm going to do my best to stay the same. Love y'all. You guys are so cool. Mitch Hedberg. Hey, I sound like this my whole life. So I think like Mitch Hedberg is like a brother from another mother, and he is one of my favorite human beings on planet Earth. I remember it was like in 2007, a coworker at Borders Bookstore. We had to work up until like 6 p.m. at 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve. And then we had Christmas Day off. And then we would have to drive back and be there the next day, the day after Christmas. If you weren't there for either one of those, you got fired. And so I had to drive up to DFW from Houston, which is like 5 hours, and then drive back in like a 36-hour span. And a friend of mine, Brandon, for Christmas gave me 3 Mitch Hedberg CDs, or 2. And I remember, I swear to God, Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, I almost crashed my car because I was laughing so hard. I was not prepared for how funny Mitch was. And so, and Mitch and I mean, I love Mitch, dude. God bless, another great person we lost as comedy went underground as well. So everybody stay cool. I'm sending love to you and hoping and praying and giving plans out for peace. And don't be scared of working together, man. All right. Stay cool. And you are beautiful.